is that what he's saying is that you don't have to go searching for your destiny. It will find you. God will find you. God will find you. Source will find you. Grace will find you, because it never lost you. You lost it. You lost your destiny. You lost it. And when you lost it, which is most of us in the dream state are, we think we have to search for it. No. All we have to do is see, from the Course in Miracles point of view, see the blocks to the presence of destiny, love in your life, and look at those square in the eye and start to deal with them. And when you start to deal with them, then what he says, that inner flowering starts to happen. The happiness starts to happen. The flow starts to happen. All right, everybody. So today we're going to pick a couple of quotes from Osho, and it is from, just so you know, it's from this book called Joy, which is a compilation of his talks and all about joy, a lot of other things too. He's got a few of these compilation books. One is on trust, one's on joy. There's a few that are like that, but they're awesome. They're awesome. All right. So we're going to read a couple things here. This is really about what he has to say about destiny and about destiny. It's really about destiny. So, all right. So if you want to take some notes, if you want to just listen, that's fine. I'm a big fan of taking notes. All right. So let's listen to this. I picked a couple of things out of here. So let's just break them down. Okay. So this is Osho from Joy, the happiness that comes from within. That's the subtitle or tagline, whatever it's called. All right, here we go. This is three sentences, and I love them. Existence goes on searching for you. It knows your name, but you have forgotten that name. It knows your address, but you have never lived at that address. You allowed the world to distract you. So good, right? Existence goes on searching for you. So good. It knows your name, it knows your address, but you have never lived there. You don't know the address. You allowed the world to distract you. So it's that thing of, that I always say in the Course in Miracles, it's almost as if when you start to wake up and you have real spiritual awakening, you get this feeling, and anyone here that's really had some spiritual awakening experiences, you will understand what I'm going to say. You get this feeling that God, source, love, even Jesus or whoever, has just been waiting for you. Like, okay, are we ready now? That's the feeling you get. Please put in the chat if you've got that feeling. Because once you start to wake up and see the game that's going on in duality, and you start to wake up from the dream, you get this feeling like God, source, or love is just going, all right, I've been waiting. And it also comes with the incredible metaphor of coming home, right? So obviously your name, your address is all about home, but you have not found your home. And the world has distracted you. Your experiences have distracted you. Things have distracted you. And you forget. When you're distracted, you forget. This is all that's going on here, my friends. Existence is searching for you, because existence is all that is. You could replace the word existence with God, with love, with source. It's always there. It's always there. It's there and you're there. It's here and you're there, right? So once you start to wake up and you start to see what's going on, you start to get that. I understand. You were somewhere else, and now you're back. Take a deep breath. So let's read this next one. Your destiny can find you in only one way, and that is your inner flowering, as existence wanted you to be. This is such a beautiful, amazing sentence. Let's just say it again because it's so good. Your destiny can find you in only one way, and that is your inner flowering, as existence wanted you to be. Just stop. So good. Inner flowering. Just take that in for a second. And this is what happens. And this is what happens when you're so distracted. You can't allow the inner flowering. There's too much stuff covering it up, right? The inner flowering starts to happen. Let's keep reading. Unless you find your spontaneity, unless you find your element, you cannot be happy. And if you cannot be happy, you cannot be meditative, which I love. So your destiny can find you. Your destiny can find you. It's a very interesting thing, this word destiny, right? You know, there's, I always teach that your fate and your destiny are two different things. He's using destiny a little bit differently here. I always say that your fate is what you came here with. Your facts, just the facts. You know, you're a male, you're a female, you were born at this year, at this time, in this country, blah, blah, blah. You have these parents, that's your fate, right? Your destiny is what you do with your fate. Now, maybe he's not actually saying something different. Your destiny is what you do with your fate, right? What is my destiny? What's my destiny? So if destiny is the same as God, as your existence, it's what you're doing with your fate so that destiny can find you, so that God can find you. Now, it's a very interesting thing here because it's kind of the tables are turned here a little bit, that God, destiny is looking for us. I think I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but to look at all of his work, and I've studied so much about Osho, is that what he's saying is that you don't have to go searching for your destiny. It will find you. God will find you. God will find you. Source will find you. Grace will find you, because it never lost you. You lost it. You lost your destiny. You lost it. And when you lost it, which is most of us in the dream state are, we think we have to search for it. No. All we have to do is see, from the Course in Miracles point of view, see the blocks to the presence of destiny, love in your life, and look at those square in the eye and start to deal with them. And when you start to deal with them, then what he says, that inner flowering starts to happen. The happiness starts to happen. The flow starts to happen. Make sense? And when that flow starts to happen, the happiness starts to happen, then the meditation is very easy. Meditation is, listen, I'm working with my other students right now, and we're doing a whole month about meditation. And Osho says, meditation is who you are. It's who you are. It's not something you do, right? It's who you are. So this makes total sense that when you become more of who you are, then meditation just happens. You don't have to sit and meditate. Meditation is who you are. You don't have to do meditation. That's important. It's very different than you'll hear. You have to practice your meditation. No, Osho would say you don't have to have a technique. You don't have to do this. You just have to start. You don't have to, but the technique helps. It's very, very clear. The technique helps you to realize, have the self-realization that you are meditation. Your truth, your address, your name, who you are is meditation, which means that inner flowering, that inner joy, that inner flow, right? Take a deep breath. All right, so unless you find your spontaneity, unless you find your element, you cannot be happy. And if you cannot be happy, you cannot be meditative. Now, why does he say, unless you find your spontaneity? The direct reason is that, well, first of all, your element is you. Your element is your instrument of who you are. Your spontaneity has to do with being truthful to yourself. And when you're truthful to yourself, you are in flow. You're in the flow. Most of the time, remember what he says before here, you allow the world to distract you. When you allow the world to distract you, you lose your spontaneity. Because all you're doing is going, well, I'll do that because they like me. I'll do that because they don't like me. I'll make sure I wear that because then I'll be approved of. That's all distraction, and that's not spontaneous, and that's not real, right? It's a great line. So unless you find your spontaneity, find your element, you can't be happy. And this falls, of course, under the category of authenticity, right? Sometimes that word authenticity makes me go, oh, God. Because people, when you try to be authentic, that's the most inauthentic thing you can do. Because you're trying to be authentic. There's no trying to be authentic. It's allowing yourself to have that inner flowering and be vulnerable enough so that you can allow that flow, allow all of it to happen, right? So he goes on in the same part. There's a couple of things, but I want to read these couple of things because I think they are super important and they're very urgent. They're very urgent. So if you're here, let me just say this. If you're here watching me right now, you're already in this place where you're starting to think something's got to change, right? Something got to change. So he says here, people thought happiness comes from when you are meditative. It's just the other way around. Meditation comes when you are happy. To be happy is difficult, and to learn meditation is easy. To be happy means, this is big, to be happy means a drastic change in your way of life. An abrupt change, because there is no time to lose. Let me read that again. People thought happiness comes when you are meditative. Remember what I said before? This is from another thing that he talks about. You are meditation. It's just the other way around. Meditation comes when you are happy, right? But to be happy is difficult, and to learn meditation is easy. Of course it's easy because it's who you are. To be happy means a drastic change in your life. An abrupt change, because there is no time to lose. And if you followed me before, if you listened to me before, this is a big deal that I teach all the time. I say tick, 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 tick. Time is not real, but in the illusion, it's real and it's taken away. And you're waiting to be happy. You're waiting to find the golden nugget. You're waiting to be enlightened. Stop doing that, is what he's saying. You have to make an abrupt change because, as he says, to be happy means a dramatic change in your way of life. And what he's referring to is in the way that you're thinking, in the way that you're dealing with yourself, your inner dialogue. My class and I talked about inner dialogue last night. Your inner dialogue, that needs to change dramatically. And it's very different than what most of us have been raised to think. Most of us have been trained to say, right? So it's very different. It's very different. I'm going to read this last line. You have to drop all patterns that have been forced on you, and you have to find your own inner flame. You have to drop all those patterns that have been forced on you. And you have to find your own inner flame. This is a completely different way of living your life, because for most of our lives, we are distracted. We're trying to get that, we're trying to get that, we're trying to change ourselves here and fix ourselves there. This is a very different association to life. And when you start to change that, you wake up. That's just the way it is. Okay? I hope that these quotes have helped you or made you think about a few things. So let's look at the comments and put in the comments. Or inner flame. Yes, Jennifer. That's right. We have to lower the distractions, right, everyone? We have to lower the distractions and think about distractions. What is distracting? The phone, the politics, the whatever happens to be. Media in general. This is why people go on, of course, what? Media vacations, so that they can find themselves. And then you know your address. Then you know your name. Get it? Survival mode and have been for some time. I'm sorry, Nancy. You don't have to be in survival mode. We're in survival mode because we lack. You see my tattoo? Trust. We lack trust. So just trust. I know that sounds very simplistic, but start trusting more. Start trusting more. Emily, self-care, yes, self-care. And self-care is a very interesting thing. It's not just, listen, it's not just certain things. I mentioned inner dialogue before. Your inner dialogue is your main source of self-care. What are you telling yourself? What are you believing? What is your belief? I teach people the basic thing called the belief table. You have to look at what's on your belief table, and you have to, because your belief table is informing your whole life, and your belief table is going to inform how you're thinking and your inner dialogue. So self-care starts here, right? Home is where the heart is. So where's your heart? Where's your mind? What are you saying to yourself? That is paramount before a manicure or pedicure. I'm just kidding, but you know what I'm saying. All right? But find your inner flame now. Tick, tick, tick. You don't trust yourself. You trust the existence of God within you. Trusting yourself doesn't ever work. But when you trust that inner existence of grace, of love, of God, whatever you want to call that, you naturally start to trust yourself. But don't start to trust yourself first. Trust that first. And then you're on your way, right? Let's see. But that's a great point, Robbie. I'm in self-care right now after caregiving. I get that, Rita. Very good for you. Be careful. I just thought about that. Careful with yourself. Caregiving for many years and a husband passed. We're all thinking about you, Rita. We get it. It's hard, but be careful, full of care for yourself. It could be a very beautiful time for you. Robbie says, "Can you give an example of self-care?" Here's self-care. You ready? If in your mind you go, "I'll never get that job." This is just an example. You go, you see a job and you're like, "Oh, that'd be really great. I really love that." And then your mind goes, "Oh, I'll never get it." You all relate to that. Stop. Ask yourself, is that true? Is it true you'll never get it? You're immediately stopping the egoic mind from co-opting you, and you stop and go, is that true? And if your answer, honestly, it is not true that you will never get the job. You don't know. This is where trust comes in. Self-care is when you feel yourself going down the train and you stop. This is the 3 steps to enlightenment. You ready? I have this printed on shirts. I got it I've been saying this for a while, but I really got it from Jed McKenna, one of the greatest teachers ever. Here's the 3 steps to enlightenment. Ready? Sit down, shut up, and ask what is true. That's self-care.